Now, how many of you would rather shoot more deer? Shoot older deer. Shoot deer more consistently. Experience better hunting, better herds. There's a lot of problems we face as hunters. I've listed some here. I feel like I'm a contestant on Family Feud, where a survey says, and then you flip one over and see how many of you agree with that one or what percentage of people pick that one. I'm going to go through a few of these, and the last one's the most important I want you to think about. If you're not shooting a lot of deer, if you're having a bad deer season, I'm sure you can relate to a few of these. And number one, not spooking deer. Spooking deer is our number one reason we don't see deer. You know, deer are very consistent creatures, especially does and fawns. If you're not seeing does and fawns, there's a big problem because they do the same dumb thing every day. They go from bedding to food, food to bedding. During the daylight, they're straight line movers and they bed close to their food. So if you can't figure out does and fawns, if does and fawns are spooky in the area you hunt, there's something else going on that relates to how you're hunting or how others are hunting in the area that applies that pressure to deer, and then they become accustomed to it. So not spooking deer, a lot of people are hunting small parcels, 40 acres, 80 acres. You spook deer, they run a half mile. That's why it's so critical when you're tracking a wounded deer. If you spook him, he's gone 95% of the time or more, because he runs a half mile with no blood. If he's still alive and you're in big trouble, you're not going to find that deer. It's because they go a half mile. A 40-acre parcel is a quarter mile by quarter mile. So if that deer is anywhere on that 40 and runs a quarter mile, they might be on 2 neighbors over, 3 neighbors over. They're gone. You spook a deer herd off that area, they're gone a half mile or more. And if you do it a number of times over a couple weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, well, they're not coming back during the daylight. So you have to be very careful when you're getting in and out. You don't let the deer see you, hear you, or smell you. You can't control just 1, 2, you have to control all 3. That's why you don't want to hunt defined movements. You know the deer are bedding here, and they're feeding over here, and they move in between right here through these funnels, through this saddle and the ridge system, through this inside corner of a field where it's all open. They're not going to cut the corner out in the open. They're going to cut the corner where it's woods. Still, they're following a creek system along the edge of a swamp, wherever it might be. The bottom line is you pinpoint where they're moving. You know they're sleeping here during the daylight or just bedding down, and then they're feeding here during the daylight. Well, then you kind of have them. You hunt that defined movement. You don't spook it out, and that's kind of the name of the game of hunting. But that's one reason I think one of the biggest failures of us as a hunter, the problem we face is spooking deer and learning how to manage our hunt. When Dylan and I, Kevin, Joe, Wes, when we go to a property and we're helping a client out, it's whitetail habitat solutions. But when we really go, what they really need help with is how do you improve the property, but not improve it so much that you can't move around the property without spooking deer. And that's the number one failure of a lot of people that relates to spooking deer, is they spend a lot of money on hunting land and improvements, but now they just set up a giant network of traps that make it so you can't get on and off the property without spooking deer. Again, it goes back to spooking deer. And a lot of times the more money you have, the worse it is, because you're making all these cool improvements. You have the money to do so, but you don't manage the hunt, and that's the lowest hole in the bucket when we go to a property. And that all relates to spooking deer. Number 2, time off. This is a big thing with me back in the day, and even now, I have to value my time. If I'm not hunting, I'd rather be working or with family, friends. You have to look at that and have that balance. So when I choose to go hunting, I don't want to waste my time. We have a bunch of stands out here in Minnesota over a large expanse, and Dylan and I talked pretty lengthy, and I talked with Jen about, hey, we're going hunting this afternoon. What about here? What about there? And we haven't narrowed down to one stand. Doesn't mean we shoot something. The point is, though, is a lot of thought and care goes into that. Our approach, how we're getting in and out, the stand position of the tree. Dylan and I already went out and set that tree stand. It's on the edge of the fields, so we can get in and out. We'd rather spook deer at noon than spook deer at 4 going in. There happens to be a button buck or something. So when I hunt, I want to make it valuable. And back in the day when I hunted, it was all about my 2 weeks vacation a year. Luckily, the banks that I work for let me take a half day at a time so that I can go hunting in the morning, half day. I could even leave on a Friday night, hunt Saturday, Sunday, hunt in the morning on Monday, and still be back because the bank was open to 7 to 7. Still get a full day in. So that was pretty cool too. But it was all about managing my time off. So what I find, it's not the amount of time that people have off, it's the priorities they put in place that take time away during their time off. People say, well, I can't hunt like that. I can't hunt when I want. Well, I always made a choice of employment to where I could actually have a little flexibility. I couldn't have ultimate flexibility, but I had a little. What that meant was I'm taking a long weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and I base that all on the weather. Because obviously if it's a blizzard, if there's 40-mile-an-hour winds, if there's thunder and lightning, deer don't move. So X those days out. Just doing that, you take out the really hot days, the really bad weather days, the really windy days, the extreme weather days, and slant your hunt accordingly, to one side of the weekend or the other. I always looked at it that I'd rather take a Wednesday night and Thursday morning off that I could go hunt, manage my time around that, than a whole weekend if the weekend weather was bad. It wasn't about hunting on the weekend. It's, hey, I don't want to miss Tuesday morning because a cold front just went through and it's going to be the best day for 14 days. So I'm going to go out there and hunt it. And I'd put more value on that. And that's what I found less is more. That's where I found the more time you spend on the couch, the more mature bucks you shoot, the more success you have. So don't let time off be a limiting factor. Instead, control the time you do get off and make the most of it. That's what I had to do. That's what I still do. And you can too. Number 3, burnout. This is a big problem too, because people take their 10-day rut hunt and by day 4 they're burned out, day 6 they're burned out. And it's not just you sitting dark to dark. I've been there. I shot a mature buck the 4th day of a rut hunt. My friend Tim and I went on, good friend, and that was 2003, I believe, or 4. And by the end of the 4th day when I shot that buck, I can remember sitting down next to that buck and it's dark and Tim came up. We were exhausted. It was in the teens to 20 every morning. We sat dark to dark. It was in the 20s the first day, then the high 20s, 30s. It never got above 40 during those 4 days. So sitting dark to dark, and it was the 4th day, I was pretty burned out, let alone if you have a week off or 10 days off. We were going home on day 4, so I shot at the last minute. I never really hunted more than 3 or 4 days at the most, almost any time, because for one, burn yourself out, but then you burn your stands, you burn your land, you burn your family, you burn your job, your career. I could never get 5 days off. That was half my vacation. Unless I paired it with a weekend, that was still 3 days, let alone if you have a little time for travel. Folks, it's time for the rut, and that means you need to check out my rut web class. It'll help you navigate the entire rut. But more importantly, QuietKat is one of our important partners. And through that partnership, they've offered to clients, people that contact us, an incredible discount and opportunity to buy a new QuietKat. Look for an email that you can contact and the contact information in the description, but I really want to pass that off to you. We don't do that very often, but I want to make sure you guys don't miss out if you're looking and in the market for a new QuietKat. Bottom line is you feature burnout, and that's why I'd rather pick, let's say, okay, I have 15 different times I want to hunt that I can space out between middle of September and early January. I'd rather take 15 hunts and have them during good weather days, time where I really think there's a purpose going into the woods other than just sit and enjoy the beauty. I can do that anywhere. I can do that hiking. I like fishing up in Canada. We just got done with that. It was hot down here. It was up to 88 degrees. So what I do is I went fishing in Canada. Went grouse hunting. Perfect for that. And then when it got cold, we came home to actually deer hunt on the better days. That's how you can avoid burnout, is not trying to put all your eggs in one basket at one time. And people say, well, I only get to hunt 3 days a year. Well, frankly, then you're probably not much of a hunter. You probably have other priorities that you do. There's nothing wrong with that. Someone will say, well, I can only hunt 3 days a year. And I have a friend like that, but they'll bowl 36 days a year in a league. Play ball. Go snowmobiling up north several weekends. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying there is. It's just that don't complain about 3 days off for deer when you're doing all these other things. But the point is burnout. Take your time that you do have, use them on great times, not as much of a chance of burning out not only yourself, but your land and your tree stands. Where to hunt? That's one that continually irks me. Dylan, where'd you shoot your mule deer right now? Tell me how much you spent on hotel rooms, eating out, your lease fees, or fees for the land in general, to go hunt where you just went and hunted mule deer in South Dakota.
Taxes are pretty high, so, I mean, Probably spent a good bit on that. But no, it was public land, spent $0 on a hotel, we camped, had groceries and gas into it, and an out-of-state tag.
And you shot a beautiful mule deer.
Yeah, first one. Not a giant, but a good first muley.
And what'd you do last year out there?
Shot a whitetail.
Same budget.
Public land, yep, exactly.
I had a comment this morning. Someone said, you know, my public land hunts are getting ruined. There's people all around. He said, maybe I need to walk back further.
Work harder.
Work harder. I always look at working harder, especially on public land, is not just the 45-minute walk in. That's going to eliminate 80% of the people, 90. But try to put one obstacle in your way. Elevation change, beaver crossing, river crossing where there's wetlands, some type of standing water, and then you eliminate a whole bunch of other people. And you really get it narrowed down to, yeah, you might see someone here or there, but you have the place to yourself. And that's what's pretty cool. You can always find public land within 2-3 hours of a house. And I'm thinking like Midwest, high hunting pressure states. I know because I go to those places. Doesn't matter if it's Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, New York, Pennsylvania. I've been to Indiana, Illinois. I've been to so many different parcels where there's public land right next door, and the client said, we've never seen another hunter. And it's small public land, large public land, variety. The point is, have 7 or 8 spots in your bank, not this is where I'm going to hunt. I have 4 tree stand locations in this 40 acres, and now you have one person in there, you mess it all up. No, have 6 or 7 spots. Again, you don't have land, private land, we take care of. I mean, we could probably employ someone 20 hours a week for the entire year to take care of the land, or more hours. The point is that private land, and then you can mess it up. We've spooked something on 30 acres of woods we hunt in Wisconsin. We're in trouble for a couple weeks. We don't have anywhere else we can go. We can't go down the road and hunt the next private piece. You can on public land. The point is, it's pretty easy to find a spot to hunt if you work hard enough. It really is. That boils down to yourself. Future of hunting, this is a big one. One of the things I see all the time is, you know, I'll get someone on one of my, how to bait video. Someone will say, oh, if you're baiting, it's illegal. You're scum, basically, if you're baiting. Using a crossbow, you're scum. Heck, traditional hunters could say, all you compound hunters out there are scum because you're using compounds. You're using tree stands. Oh my gosh. What about using a bike to hunt? You're using fancy camo. You should be freezing out on that branch like I did when I was growing up. I think I must have got almost frostbit several times because we didn't have the clothing. Bottom line is, hunters against hunters, the future of hunting. Future of hunting is bright if we allow others to enjoy and embrace the entire tradition of hunting, meaning family, friends, social activity, the whole strategy of it. You can become involved as much as you want. You can say, well, I just want to go get some venison. Shoot the first thing that goes by. I applaud you. You're in the woods. You're hunting. Someone else says, I want to shoot the oldest buck in the neighborhood because that's the challenge. I can shoot venison, get venison anytime I want. I do. But you want to shoot that older buck. You want that challenge. So you might eat a tag then. But you got to hunt a lot. And that's what you like to do. You want to spend a bunch of money on it? Great. If you don't want to spend a bunch of money on it, great. Who cares what weapon you want to use? We bicker so much as hunters. I don't know. I golf. I've golfed a little bit in the past. I've dabbled. Do golfers bicker that much? Seriously. Are they at each other's throats on hunting forums or golf forums? This person used this type of club. This person used this type of iron. This person used this type of ball. They should be outlawed. This person golfs on a private course. This one's on a public course. They're better because they're on public. Are you serious, guys? Is that what golf is? It's what hunting is. And we could talk about scent control, scent contraptions, hunting by the moon, hunting by the weather, hunting by the stars. Haven't heard that one yet. Dylan, have you heard that one?
Although stars, I'm sure it's out there.
But I'll tell you, when I see Orion the Archer up in the sky, usually in the southwest sky when I'm going out in the morning, in Wisconsin, I can think it right over the ridge. That's a good sign.
Absolutely.
Bow's pointed right down where we
Good
hunt.
omen.
Oh yeah, good omen. But hey, hunters against hunters. Bad thing. We need to accept and embrace the brotherhood of the sport and try to get more involved in hunting, meaning your friends, your family. Heck, I know of a lot of UP deer camps, Upper Peninsula Michigan deer camps that were R-rated. It wasn't a place for kids, and for that, those kids never got a chance to hunt with Dad when they were 6, 7, 5 years old, 8 years old, 10 years old. First time deer camp was when they were old enough that Dad wanted them to, or allowed them to see what he was doing at deer camp. And they're not hooked as a hunter then. So get these youth involved earlier and introduce your friends and family to hunting, make it more available. And then disease. This is a big one. We have overreacted to just about every disease there is for deer. Let's face it. States have spent tens of millions of dollars. Sharpshooters. We have sharpshooters around here in the wintertime. This is the thing too. Not allowed to bait, which you want to bring baiting back, I don't really care. The point is, put bait piles, giant corn piles out for 2-3 weeks in the snow. Tracks deer from miles around. Let's go in at night, shoot them all. Not all of them, because the smart ones run away. They recognize that stress in some way. And what happens? We put bait out to have sharpshooters come in, bring all these deer into one spot, nose-to-nose contact, saliva, everything else. We shoot a portion of them, and the rest go back to their herds. I mean, think about this. I mean, really, think about that. And it's just a small percentage of a small county, at that. We overreact greatly. Instead, embrace. I think sometimes we overreact so much that we devalue the game. We devalue deer in general. We're just shooting them and laying them out there like cordwood. Even if we take them to the hunters feeding the hungry, something like that, it almost puts a lower value on deer. Because it's not a part of that strategic hunt. It's not a part of that hunting tradition that we're trying to pass off. So number 7, what's the biggest problem hunters face? Us, you, themselves. And that relates to each one of these. Disease, we're our biggest enemy sometimes, just because of our overreaction. The future of hunting, of course, for hunters against hunters, that's on us. Where to hunt? Come on, just work a little bit harder. You're getting burned out. You're complaining about time off, not being able to go hunting, not spooking deer. That's more strategy. Few of those, but it's all on us. We have control over that. I see a lot of people on private land. Well, the neighbors are shooting all the does. Well, do something better with your habitat on private land so that the does aren't over living on the neighbors. They have a small window of movement, 100, 150 yards during the daylight, which can be encompassed by a lot of 20-acre parcels. So do a better job on the habitat than instead of complaining about the neighbors. The bottom line is, you have a lot more control over the success of your hunt than I think you can understand or believe. We have a lot more control over the future of hunters and hunting in general than I think we give ourselves credit for. And we have a lot more control over how we react to disease and the fear that we put in people, kind of the overreaction to any one of these. And that's a good thing. When it comes to our success as hunters in the future, and every year, that consistency, that love of hunting we have, passion, getting family involved and friends, it's a beautiful thing. Our tradition of hunting, and you have a lot more control of it in the future of hunting, in the future of success, than you might otherwise believe, and I hope that's why you're on this channel. Because I preach hope. I try to teach how you can do these things on your property and have a better hunt, and try to put things in perspective for you. And I hope this video helped you today, for this season, at deer camp this season, and beyond. I appreciate you guys watching the YouTube channel, but I don't know if everyone knows everything that we have to offer, whether it's on whitetailhabitatsolutions.com, our website, or WHS Wildlife Blends, our seed company. Also, Instagram you can check out. I'm very active on Instagram, putting strategies on there, photos of what we do every day. Much more active there than Facebook. But our seed, web classes, books, clients, articles. I have over 600 articles on whitetailhabitatsolutions.com. Everything whitetail strategy. Of course, we have hats on there. And then make sure to check us out on Instagram again. But lots of stuff to offer. We're always coming out with new things. And this isn't the end of it. We have more things coming soon. Make sure to check us out.